Welcome to Workplace Straight Talk with Gloria Carter Hicks, the president and CEO of Hicks Carter Hicks, and your host. Because some things need to be said about the workplace, Gloria will be saying them right here at Workplace Straight Talk. Look for new episodes on the fourth Monday of the month. Thank you for tuning in.
Should a person be hired, promoted, and invested in by a company? That is the question and part of the discussion for today's podcast. What is your value proposition? This podcast episode is part of the series It's All About You, the Employee. Our first episode was, Would You Hire Yourself? Episode number 2 was, Have You Ever Been Fired? Episode number 3 today, What is your value proposition? Hello, I am Gloria Carter Hicks, your host for Workplace Straight Talk. And today we're talking about value proposition. Now, when businesses look for customers, they want them to find value in the products and services that they provide. What other reason would you spend your dollars with a company if they did not provide value for the dollars that you spend? Whether it's goods or services, you're looking to get a good value. Well, it's no different from an employer looking to hire employees that are valuable to them, that have a strong value proposition. Now, I want to talk about what is value proposition, but before I get to that, I want to cover the 3 levels of your value proposition, and that will help you better understand what it is. So, level number 1 is you have a limited value proposition. What is that? That simply says a person just does their job. They're not going to go above and beyond. They're not going to put in any extra time. They're not going to volunteer for anything. They just do their job. Now, true story. Had a person that I was talking to, a mentee from some time ago, who said, Gloria, I have my MBA now. The company paid for it. I took advantage of tuition reimbursement, and I'm a reliable employee. I do my job, and it's been a year or so, and I have not been promoted. And I said to her, it's because you just do your job. You don't go above and beyond. You don't volunteer. The company poured into you through tuition reimbursement. You have your MBA, but have you leveraged or used your MBA to make the company better, to offer suggestions or ideas on how to make more money, save money, create a better work environment? What have you done lately for the company? Because now you have an MBA. And they honestly could not answer what they had done. I said, that's why you haven't been promoted. You have a limited value proposition, which also puts you at risk when people have a higher value proposition. So what's the next level? Adequate value proposition. Now, you may not like that term, the connotation behind adequate, but what we are saying here is that you are competent and you are reliable. But is being competent and reliable enough to be promoted, even enough to be hired in some situations? So what is adequate? Yes, I do my job. Yes, I'm competent at it, and you can depend on me. But yet, that's not enough. We're in a competitive environment where you're not only competing with humans, you're competing with AI. So what's next? What's the next level? The highest level is having a strong value proposition. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that you create value long-term for the organization. That also means that you create a great impact for the organization. That if you were to leave the company, they would feel a loss. Your talent, you are a subject matter expert, you have knowledge that others don't have. They would actually feel the loss of you leaving the company because the work you do is so impactful and so different. And so those are the levels of value proposition. Now, you decide where you are, and that determines how valuable you are to the company. So I had someone say to me, well, doesn't the company need to have an employee value proposition? I said, most definitely. It's a two-way street. And what that means is that the company needs to have a culture that is welcoming, a culture that it respects employees, that it gives you opportunities for development, and that the compensation and benefits are fair and competitive, and that you have opportunities to grow with the company, and that it's a place where you would recommend your family and friends go to work. That is their value proposition. Sometimes they're called best places to work also. And so if all those things are in place, and yet you still do not create value, I'm asking you to think about why is that? Because if everything is well with a company in terms of its employee value proposition, and you would recommend family and friends to work there, and you don't want to leave, and the company is pouring into you, investing into you, you should then give the company a return by leveraging your knowledge, talents, and skills to do not just the job, but to think about going above and beyond. Those are the people who get promoted, who get recognized, who get opportunities that others do not. Now, let's talk about the different components of a value proposition. I want to start first with positive impact. What kind of impact do you make? You need to be results driven. That might mean you're looking for new ways for revenue, looking for ways for the company to be more cost efficient, more effective. You might be looking for new customer opportunities. It could be a myriad of different things to make the business better. It might be things to reduce risk, solve problems. These are things that you think about, but you also do that helps the company improve. You know, when companies think about their value proposition and providing goods and services that are valuable to the consumer, they do that because they have people working for them that have strong value propositions that create a better company. And so you want to have you want to be a results oriented individual. Now, let's talk about the other component of having a strong value proposition. You have a unique set of skills and talents to make the organization better. What do I mean by that? You are a subject matter expert. You are one that can solve problems. You are one that can see problems before they happen. You can anticipate what's going to happen and be ready for those things. And you're actively ready to engage in change initiatives. You are driving those initiatives using your talent and your knowledge. And again, if you were to leave the organization, it would be a great loss. And you are also training, developing, mentoring, and nurturing and sharing with others in the workplace. You have a unique strength. There's still another component. You're strategic. You are goal oriented. You understand what the goals and objectives are of the company. You are aligned with those goals and objectives and the mission, vision, and values of the company. You look to the future to see how you can help the organization long term. And these are things that bring value to the company, not just today, but in the future. You're looking at how what you do connects with the rest of the business. So those are the different parts and components of a value proposition. I make great impact. I leverage my skills. I'm a subject matter expert and I understand the organization strategically, its goals and objectives, and I am aligned with those. If you do all of those things, I guarantee you, you have a strong value proposition. Now, here's another story, true story. Not just an individual can have a strong value proposition, but a group of employees collectively can have a strong value proposition. I was working with an organization where they had a strong business resource group that came up with some ideas about a market they needed to be in. They felt they were missing market share, they were missing revenue because they did not have a product clothing line that would appeal to a certain demographic group. And so this group, this business resource group, got together and they put together a marketing plan, a business plan. They did their research. They looked at the demographics. They did some customer focus groups, and they came back with data and a plan to senior leadership. And they said, we are missing an opportunity for this demographic group to offer a product that they are interested in. If we do this, it will generate additional revenue and add to our bottom line in terms of profit. They had all the numbers worked out. They presented that to senior leadership, and senior leadership agreed to give them the time and resources and the money to get the product off the ground and to implement this new product line that was very successful for the company. And so that's collectively employees putting their ideas together, utilizing their talent. And as a result of that, everyone in that business resource group was promoted and recognized because of their strong value proposition. The company poured into them and they poured into the company with their ideas. And that was a return on investment that was a two-way street that was valuable for both the employees and valuable for the company. So I want to share those success stories because that's what it means to have a strong value proposition. One last story. Not too long ago, I was teaching a professional brand course, and we were talking about executive presence. And I asked the individuals in the class to just prepare a brief statement as to what they wanted their professional brand to be. What did they want to be known as? How did they want to be recognized? What do they want their reputation to be? And I said, if you're comfortable sharing, please do. And this one individual shared that I want to leave a legacy with this company that says it is a better company because I have worked here. And this person was about to retire. And they said, I want my successor to step into a job, and I want them to step into a job that is better because of the talent that I brought, how I shaped that job, and the improvements I made. Now, you don't have to stay at a company for 20, 30 years or so to build a legacy. That may not even be an option these days. But for the time that you are there, build a legacy. For the time that you are there, be impactful, share your knowledge, be a subject matter expert, be strategic, have a strong line of sight as to what your job does, how it impacts the organization, and how the organization can be better. So if you leave in a year, it's a better place because you were there, as well as if you leave there in 10, 20, or 30 years, leave a legacy. That should be your value proposition. So I thank you for taking this time to listen to me about value proposition. This is a rather short podcast, but we have more to talk about in our upcoming series, which will be about innovation. Our upcoming series, in fact, will be highlighting some companies that are innovative, and you probably didn't know how innovative they are based on the industry that they're in. But in the meantime, you can always listen to us and watch us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. This is the end of our series. It's all about the employee. And we will see you. I hope to see you when we are talking about innovation in our next podcast. See you later. Bye.